So let's take this crazy topic of AI. I do not claim to be an expert in this space. Brian Sweet, as technologically advanced as he is, I can't even say that without giggling a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, wow. I can't even believe I was even associated with that term, but
He's not the AI guru either, but we are dipping our toes in this and we're staying on top of it. And I think as a business owner, people are getting excited about what's to come. So I think these types of things are contributing to this kind of what's next focus versus hang up the hat, put my feet up and relax.
Hello and welcome to the Dream Architect Life with Brian Sweet and Brittany Anderson from Sweet Financial Partners. Brian and Brittany, what's going on?
What is going on today? So many good things.
oh my goodness, can't hardly wait to share all the good stuff today.
Whoa. You didn't know what you asked for, did you, Eric?
I should have asked a different question. What's cooking? Is that a better one?
You got us on that one.
All right. So you guys have a ton of stuff going on. The last podcast was fantastic. You kind of recapped one of the trips that you did. Can you just give just a quick recap so people that are joining us for maybe the very first time, which you guys have a great audience at this point, but if they're joining for the very first time, point them back to that last podcast so they get some good info too.
Yeah, so we shared a little bit about a health and longevity immersive that we hosted. This is actually a brand new business that Brian and I have started collaborating with some different health professionals from across the nation. So talked about an experience that we brought some clients and dear friends to, had them go through some scans, some blood work, and they really got an insight into what true preventative care looks like. So that is what we shared. We did share a little nugget that we're going to be doing another one of these coming up and probably more in the future, very likely. So yeah, that was what the last episode was about.
Yeah.
Definitely tune in because there were a lot of golden nuggets in that one.
Yeah. And that should pique people's interest just to go back and hear what the heck you're talking about. And it is crazy good. I love the information. So what about today? What are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about business and in a little bit of a unique setting. So, one of the things that we've really honed in on over the years at Sweet Financial and in our other businesses, honestly, for those that don't know or maybe haven't caught this in other episodes, not only do we have Sweet Financial, but we also have a couple different businesses that coaches financial advisors from across the nation on how to not only build a better business, but to engage with their clients on a deeper level. So this is a topic that is near and dear to our hearts, partly because we've seen so many benefits from it ourselves, but we've also seen people's businesses really take off in positive ways and/or see people have exits and move on to really great things that they've wanted to do and have had passion behind. So, one of the things to kind of lay the foundation here is we've had a lot more in-depth conversations with business owners over the years as to some of their pain points, as to some of the struggles that they find themselves facing, opportunities that they want to capitalize on, but maybe haven't had the time, energy, or resources to do so. So we've constantly heard things like, limited employee markets, hiring struggles. They get to a point in time where they're looking at succession. So now hiring takes this whole next level where they're saying, I want to be able to maybe move on to some things that I have passion behind, but what on earth is going to happen to the business that I've poured my heart and soul into? A big focus on an identity shift. So people get to a certain point where they're strongly looking at exiting the business that they've built. And they say, okay, I understand the monetary gains on the other side of this, but what am I going to do and who am I going to be? Because all I've ever been is what this business has presented. So what we're trying to do in having these conversations is provide resources to business owners to help them, whatever their path is, if they're looking to grow or if they're looking to exit, to be able to actually help them with the resources that are not readily available. So Brian, before we kind of move on to some of the things that we're going to be doing, what else did I miss? What else are we hearing?
No, I would say you covered that really well. As we alluded to in the intro, with the, health and longevity immersive, one of the things that we've really basically created a mission to do this is when we see ongoing problems that aren't getting solved, we've just taken it upon ourselves to create some kind of a platform or methodology to help people overcome those things. So as we alluded to in the other podcast, we saw 4 other issues with purpose, health and longevity, legacy, and experiences. We created the Dream Architect Life Immersive. Same thing with business owners. We're running into business owners all the time, and these same issues keep coming up and coming up. And since no one was out there, creating a solution, what we decided to do is, once again, collaborate with people around the country that are experts in these areas and develop a business immersive that helps solve this. So very similar to the health and longevity, but specifically geared to business owners.
Mm. And I want to add something for context here too, and then Eric obviously jump in, but there's a massive shift happening. And this is what we're trying to stay in front of. Years ago, or really up until recent times, the mindset was really, you get to the age of, 63 to 67-ish, and it becomes time to retire. So then you move away from your role, your job, your business, and that's just kind of how things were. That was the norm. Now, when you think about the topic of longevity and vibrancy, like we talked about in the last episode, there's a shift happening where people are not getting to the age of 63 to 67 and saying, well, time to hang up the hat and turn the keys in. They're looking at different opportunities, and they want to continue to add value and impact into the world in a way that allows them to work. Maybe not how they've been for years and years, but they want to keep engaged and keep on top of things and maybe have a new career or a new venture. So now what used to be a time to hang up the hat is turning into a starting point, a jumping off point into their next level capabilities. So these are the things that we're seeing. And this is why when we talk about business exit, it's not just sell and go sit on a beach, unless that's what you want to do, which kudos to you, but it's more of the bringing the resources of the what's next to have this holistic approach. So I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. And there's some interesting statistics, since we, have talked a lot about longevity, that is also saying, those that retire early don't live as long. And so if you couple that with the scenario that medical advances are increasing people's life expectancies, if nothing else, you might have to or want to work longer if you're going to live an extra 10 or 20 years that you may not have thought was possible before. And so when we do our planning, we're actually using age 100 and have done that for quite some time. And this may sound like, outer space talk, but don't be too surprised to in the very near future, in the next decade, that age 110 or 120 will be the number you should use in your planning. Well, if you're going to live another 10 or 20 years, you need to know and have the resources and, at least be aware of that. So.
Yeah. And there's a saying that everybody's heard, I'm sure, on here, is that if you do what you love, you've never worked a day in your life. Okay, that's nice. But at the same time, a lot of times the things that we do, we can't continue to do forever. Right. And so there needs to be that second stage or third stage or act, however you want to call it, your third act, your fourth act, and to be able to pivot and do that in a healthy way so that you're still doing something that you love. Maybe it wasn't what you did for your career, but shifting your mindset, like you guys have said so many times, knowing that you can do something else, that you're not tied to what you did as your profession. You can do something that you will find new joy, new love, and help other people or whatever. You guys have transformed over the years. And I'm going to say this, and to the listener and to the viewer, I know I'm just some guy on a podcast, and I'm not asking you to trust me on this, but trust me on this. I'm connected in this community to the point where Brian's name, and now Brittany's name even more too, it's known. It's known as somebody who's so giving of their time, both of them, that they're changing other people's businesses just by spending time with them. I won't name a name, but we can talk about it off air. Just last week we were talking and your guys' name came up. I was like, yeah, I work with them as well. He's like, you have no idea what it meant to me as he was an advisor, or he is an advisor. He took the time with me. He didn't know me from Adam. He was at an event, met you for the very first time when his first year in business. And he attributes so much to you because you spent the time. And he knows Brittany too now, but this was years ago, right? Because you're just slightly older than Brittany. We won't name numbers again. But this is what you guys do. And you've transformed your business over the years. And this is what you help other people do. And I love it. It's just a beautiful way to help people live a more fulfilled life through this process.
Hey, Brittany here. In case you hadn't heard, our latest book, Dream Architecture, is available for the taking. Think about it like this. What is your biggest, wildest dream of what retirement could look like? Not the dream that your friends have, or your parents maybe had, or your coworkers. Your best dream, the unreasonable one, the one that you might have trouble admitting even to yourself. So that is what the Dream Architecture book is about. Hop on over to dreamarchitecturebook.com so you can start dreaming big today. Well, Eric, we sincerely appreciate those comments. And, it's invigorating when you hear that you make a difference. And that's why we continue to do the things we do and to try to stay ahead of this stuff. I think another thing too that has people really excited, and I want to back into what I'm about to say. The news media would have you believing that the world is coming to an end in about 3 minutes. Depending upon which station you're flipping to or which social feed you're scrolling or whatever, everything's bad, everything's horrible, and all the headlines are grabbing you and trying to bring you down to a really dark place. On the contrary, I believe that we're in a time that has more possibility and more opportunity than we've ever seen before.
Couldn't agree more.
So let's take this crazy topic of AI. I do not claim to be an expert in this space. Brian Sweet, as technologically advanced as he is, I can't even say that without giggling.
Yeah, no, wow. I can't even believe I was even associated with that term, but
he's not the AI guru either, but we are dipping our toes in this and we're staying on top of it. And I think as a business owner, people are getting excited about what's to come. So I think these types of things are contributing to this kind of what's next focus versus hang up the hat, put my feet up and relax. So this topic of AI, I want to press on this for a minute here. This has been around for a while. Let's just put it out there. There's been different platforms, softwares where AI is present. It's not something that's brand new, but it's much more readily available to the everyday human being, and it's easier to navigate than ever before. So for a lot of business owners, we're getting questions on how are you using this? Where are you applying it? We just had a client at Sweet Financial the other day reach out and say, what's your thoughts on AI? How are you guys using it in your business? He's a professional as well. So this is something that we've decided to kind of hone in on, and we're actually creating under this separate business outside Sweet Financial, this business immersive coming up where we're bringing these topics all together in one space. So when we say we get excited about things, just cut me off if I start going, because we could go on and on for days about this. We could do a 4-hour special on it, but we're bringing together the topic of AI. So different professionals in different fields that are really honed in on AI and how it can enhance your business, how you can take simple tools and make it so that your entire team feels like they have a personal assistant. If I walked out right now and said to our team, hey, everybody, we're hiring a personal assistant for each and every one of you, I think we'd see cartwheels and dancing and celebrations and streamers. So these are the type of tools that are coming to the forefront. So bringing AI to the forefront, bringing, again, on the topic of exit planning, bringing different specialists, different professionals in to talk about how to have a productive and lucrative exit that makes sense for your individual situation.
Yeah, I'll just add to that on the exit planning. One of the things that, having been in the industry a long time and had been fortunate to work with a lot of business owners, one of the things that if I had to do it over again, I would have gotten much more involved in exit planning and introductions to people that are experts in that field. Because I think what's happened, I know it's happened, is that people have put their whole life's work in their business and then they go to sell it, but they didn't know, what did I need to do in advance? What steps did I need to take to maximize the value. And in today's world with technology, your IP is hugely valuable, and most people don't even know if they have IP. And it's can make your business worth twice as much very easily if you understand what it is. And then finding the right people to have you sell the practice for you. There's some crazy statistics that, most people, maybe get 10% or 50% of what they should get because they just don't know who to talk to and what are the right things. And so we've been spending a lot of time meeting experts, and we're going to actually be bringing in a lot of these experts to this immersive to give people the framework of what do I need to do 1 year, 3 years, 5 years before I retire to set my business up so I can maximize all this work and effort and monetize my life's work. And what we are finding too is that the people that actually have done all of these steps, in a lot of cases, their business runs a lot better. And they go, hey, this is kind of fun now because they've eliminated a lot of their headaches. And they go, I really don't want to retire because I've kind of got all the, details worked out and it really runs smooth. So I'm just going to hang on for a while and keep making it bigger and better and, do something later. So those are some of the reasons why we're putting exit planning as part of this business immersive, because we've just seen it done wrong, or not necessarily wrong, but just no one knew or had the resources on how to do it right. And so we want to bring the key ingredients together to help people, give them a framework, a checklist, just the whole kit caboodle to do it better, should they desire to do that.
Yeah. Hey, can I go back to the AI thing real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, and this is just because I am a geek and I'm a nerd and all that. I want to talk to any business owner out there, because back in the day, when the telephone came about, you're like, okay, if your clients or your consumers are using the telephone, shouldn't you be? Well, of course, yes. So that was the transition. If your clients are using email, as that developed, shouldn't you be using email? Well, of course, a business owner started using email. If your clients are using the internet, shouldn't you be on the internet? Well, of course, because you have to follow that trend. Well, guess what? The younger generations, the Zillennials, as I've heard them called, Generation Z and Millennials combined, I don't know what that means, but they're using AI in it so effectively to find businesses that they want to do business with, because it's turning Google into the yellow pages. Google replaced the yellow pages, but now AI quite possibly could be replacing, and I'm not saying that it's the downfall of Google itself, but when you use Google, you usually find a business number, address, and that's kind of what we're using it for these days. When you can ask AI, hey, tell me all the positive or negative reviews this company has, bring them to me. 30 seconds later, you've got it all. You can't do that on any other platform at this point. It is so thorough that they can make that judgment call on you as a business. And if you're not using these AI tools to help you out, to get out there, to get more presence on the internet, you're falling behind. What the consumer's using, the business needs to be using as much as they can to better themselves. Because if you don't match it, you're going to be trying to do door-to-door sales when anybody wants a phone call.
Yeah. And I would agree, but let me just say, I think AI is probably the biggest development since maybe the internet.
Yeah.
But you want to keep in mind, everybody's heard of Chat GPT now. That's kind of Microsoft's AI thing, and that's really what's got everybody excited. But, we're at the top of the first inning, the first batter of the game in
Absolutely.
AI. And we haven't even remotely scratched the surface of what AI will do in the future. So just getting exposed to it and understanding it's your friend, not your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I take the skills and the things that'll be developed to double my business without maybe having to add one single employee? Or how do I make every one of my employees twice as productive as they were and make their job better And I will make a kind of a bold statement that, people that don't learn, employees that don't learn AI will be the ones that are out of work. But those that know AI will be immensely valuable to employers. And so I would say everybody's got a vested interest in at least learning what it is, how it works, and just pay very close attention. So that's why we're bringing in all sorts of outside AI experts that we have affiliated with to really help business owners understand, get a framework for how do they use it in their business, and to know all of the amazing efficiencies that are going to be happening right today, but also down the road.
Yeah, everybody needs to learn it. I agree 100%.
And there's two things that I want to add to what you both were saying, actually. So number one is, when we think about AI and job replacement, I think this is something that employers can help turn into a positive with their team. Because I don't think you want to go shout out to your team like, well, AI is replacing jobs across the board. So I think what we need to do is say something along the lines of, it's important to embrace technology. But the exciting thing is that, yes, there will be some jobs that will become obsolete, just like there's jobs that exist today that didn't exist 20 years ago and jobs that existed 20 years ago that don't exist today. So it's just about staying on top of things. And it's about new opportunities that are going to come down the pipeline where people can add value using the tools that are out there and the resources that are available. So I think that's just a great mindset. And those are the kind of concepts we're going to be bringing to the table is how do you get everybody that is on your team, in your business, how do you get them embracing? The other thing that I want to bring up here, and this really ties it all together with a bow maybe, is that I was on having a conversation with a gal who does some business coaching. And we were talking about all the different areas of focus out there for business owners in particular, and all of the stuff that's coming our way. So we got on the topic of burnout, started talking a little bit about, people getting to a point where they maybe want to sell or they're making rash decisions on exiting their business. And, maybe not, to Brian's point, having all of the details to make it a great exit. So she made a comment and it has stuck. And she said that I believe that burnout is actually caused by a lack of intentionality. That was a huge whoa for me because I said, well, number one, I think you're right. And number two, what a great opportunity to be able to bring resources to business owners to help avoid that, to help avoid the lack of intentionality. So you get to a point where you're saying, exit is probably my next step. And, I'm looking at my own identity shift. And I want to also embrace all the cool new stuff that's coming down the pipeline. How do I do that? That's what this business immersive is about. It's about creating an intentional future and deciding what business looks like for you. Because just like retirement, just like wealth planning, just like any decision in your life, it's different for each individual. So you can't put it in a cookie cutter box. Our job is then just to put the resources in front of people. It's up to them to decide which path to take.
Yeah. And I think the other thing we should point out, Brittany, that we haven't talked about yet, but we did talk about in the last podcast. So this business immersive is about AI. It is about exit planning. But one of the frameworks of what we're doing is also health and longevity. Mm-hmm. So really this immersive is going to cover three areas. There'll be a section on health and longevity because, without health and longevity, doesn't matter if you have a business, et cetera, as we've talked. So health and longevity will also be a framework. Layered on top of that will be experts in what you need to do in exit planning prior to, you want to exit, and how do I make my business run better? And how do I make it more valuable? And then what do you need to do if you actually want to get out? And then on top of that is also the AI component that, we've chatted a lot about, which is probably the most exciting part because it's new. Mm-hmm. And it's, the potential is off the charts. And as I alluded to earlier, I really think it's going to be the biggest thing since the internet. And, if you don't embrace it, you're going to be left behind. And those that lead the pack or follow the leaders are going to have some unbelievable exponential opportunities to, 10x their businesses very quickly.
Speaking of not being left behind, how do people find out more?
Great question. So a couple different resources. We will be adding more details on this on dreamarchitect.com. Again, this particular immersive, it's through a separate business than what is Sweet Financial. So dreamarchitect.com. And if you have any specific questions, just email me direct. It's Brittany@dreamarchitect.com for this particular event. And we're happy to share any insights.
Yeah. We haven't got a date yet, but we're going to do our first one yet in 2023, targeting sometime in November. It'll be actually at a very fun location. So it will also have some amazing experiences tied in with it, in addition to all the great information that you'll get on health and longevity, exit planning, and AI.
All right. That sounds exciting to me. Thank you both so much for your time today. Another great podcast. And I hope the audience is readily going and using AI to search out your information. Sorry. Or just go to the site you said.
Good segue there.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. Or maybe they just go to the website that you gave. I mean, that may be
Fair.
easier. Get more information. So thank you both. This has been fantastic. And of course, our last thank you goes to you, listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Dream Architect Life podcast with Brian Sweet and Brittany Anderson. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Brian and Brittany come out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask that you share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review, as this actually does help others find the show. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Sweet Financial Partners, this is Eric Johnson reminding you that possibility comes to those who create it. And we'll see you next time.